The Fields Auto Group proudly presents Huddle Up, with Bucky Brooks, JP Shadrick, John Oehser, and NFL Network analyst and former Jaguar Bucky Brooks bring you the latest on your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Everything's got to be about the future. It's got to be about tomorrow and bringing all that into focus as we, attack the season.
Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks starts right now.
And welcome in. It's Wednesday. That means it's time for Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks as we get ready for the AFC Divisional Playoff game. The Jacksonville Jaguars visit the Kansas City Chiefs Saturday, 4:30 kickoff time. Busy show ahead. Yes, it's NFL Network analyst Bucky Brooks coming up. Senior writer John Oehser is here with me in studio. The divisional playoff game. The Jaguars, the number 4 seed. The Chiefs, the top seed, well rested. They had the bye week last week. We'll get into the matchup, of course, and a couple of social media questions as well. Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks is brought to you by Fields Auto Group Jacksonville. Step up to luxury. FieldsAuto.com. And a couple of events have been announced by the Jaguars and the city of Jacksonville. There will be a watch party at Daly's Place Saturday for the divisional game between the Chiefs and the Jags. There will be a send-off Friday. That's from 9:30 to 11:30, parking lot J or lot P, and you can say goodbye to the players as they head to Kansas City. You can park there, of course, lot J, lot P again for the watch party Saturday. The gates open at 3:30, kickoff at 4:30. Jaguars fever has taken over the city of Jacksonville, and of course it is presented by Farrah and Patron Tequila. Bucky Brooks is with us now from Los Angeles, and that kind of tells you, Bucky, what the fever pitch is here in Jacksonville for the Jaguars moving on.
Man, I like it. I like hearing all this stuff that's going on in Jacksonville. You talk about a send-off, a watch party. The buzz is certainly building about the Jaguars' prospects of, like JP, like if they win, they have an opportunity to play for the big one. Like, that's crazy. They're 2 games away from kind of being in the show. And so, look, it should be a lot of excitement because the way that the team won last Saturday night, I think everyone will forever remember that if you're part of Jaguars history.
Yeah, no doubt. And it is, as you go through the playoffs and having covered some playoff runs before, you do sort of have this feeling of, after an early round win, all of a sudden you're up and in the division. I guess the one I refer to the most is the one Bucky's familiar with, 96, this team. All of a sudden you kind of wake up and it's not a distant dream anymore. You don't have to do that much more than the rest of the league has to do to get there. And, the old cliche, why not us, et cetera, really comes into play. And, from being around this team, I don't think it's really occurred to them that they shouldn't go out and win this game. And there's a little bit of an overtone when you're a lower seed that everybody else thinks that. And sometimes that seeps into the locker room. But, Bucky, I don't think this team considers itself that much of an underdog.
No, I don't think so. And I think if you go back and you look at the way that they played down the stretch, they've won a bunch of different games in a variety of ways. And so that has certainly given them the confidence that they can find a way to win any game. And then when you think about the comebacks that they have pulled off down the final stretch of the season, I think they can talk themselves into believing that they can win, and they can win on the road in a very, very tough environment.
Bucky, I've been floating a theory all week, and most of my theories aren't right. So I'll ask you, who played, the ex-player, is who I'm asking here, JP.
Yeah, sure.
My theory when I watch the league and from covering the league, that teams that have won a lot of games going into situation, especially the NFL playoffs, they're really tough to beat, even if they might be outmatched on paper. There's something with winning in this league that these guys start believing in it, and they're a really tough out when it comes to the postseason. You went through it in 96. Does the fact that you haven't lost in a while matter when you're going into a playoff game?
I think so. I think there's some confidence that comes from each win, just like you lose a little confidence with each loss. The fact that each win strengthening the bond between the team and Coach Peterson in terms of believing in the things that he says, there's a lot to be gained. And then when you talk about teams that win, find a way to continue to win once they get into the tournament, it's because they've developed the habits that are conducive to winning. Last week, notwithstanding, normally you don't turn the ball over, you don't give up big plays, you find a way to reduce your penalties so you don't give cheap yards or easy opportunities to the opponent. When you do those things, more times than not, you're going to find a way to win games. And so as this team continues to make their march under the leadership of Doug Peterson, they are going to understand how to win games, what their way of winning game looks like. And when you start having a couple things go your way, a couple balls bounce your way, you begin to believe, not that you're necessarily the team of destiny, but at some point you'll find a way to win. And you hear that when you listen to sounds of the game. You hear that when you hear the players mic'd up. The way that they talk to one another, they never feel like they're out of a game. And so hats off to Doug Peterson for kind of pouring that into the players and for them buying in to what he's been saying.
We'll get into the matchup coming up in just a bit, but let's start off with head coach Doug Peterson. And, yes, his history with Chiefs head coach Andy Reid goes back a long way, and what a battle it should be.
Listen, I owe a lot to Coach Reid, my career, not only as a player but as a coach, and I still want to pick his brain and learn. He's been doing this a long time, and he's been really, really successful at it. So anything I can learn and take away from him is a blessing for me.
They started together in the mid-'90s in Green Bay. And, of course, have followed each other throughout. As when Andy Reid was a head coach, he was an assistant. He was a player with him, of course, a couple different stops in Green Bay and in Philadelphia. And there's the comparison on your screen. Reid's been at it for a long time. Doug Peterson now 6 seasons as a head coach, each with a Super Bowl win. They feel a lot alike in terms of personality and the way they approach the game. Bucky, you've been around both these guys, so is that fair?
I think it's a very accurate assessment. Having been around both guys, having played with Doug, having been a player in Green Bay under Andy Reid, there are a lot of similarities. Both guys have a recipe for winning that certainly works. And because Doug Peterson was Andy Reid's first quarterback in Philadelphia, there's a special connection. Takes him with him to Kansas City. They work together. They have success. Doug goes on to have more success in Philadelphia, bringing a Super Bowl. And so he certainly understands what makes Andy Reid tick. And one of the things that he has certainly been able to take is the preparation process during a bye week. Well, Andy Reid is the best in the business of being able to maximize that. I think his record is 27-4, including the postseason when he's had a bye in the regular or postseason. And so he knows that his former boss is going to have a bunch of wrinkles and tricks and fun stuff for Mike Caldwell to get ready for. And so I think he can help him with the preparation process in terms of just knowing how Andy Reid views the game and how Andy Reid will approach this game as it's the first game of their playoff run.
Bucky, how similar are they when you really dig down? I mean, I know it's easy to say, as play callers in terms of how they manage a game, aggressiveness, etc. I mean, is there a difference that you find? Are they carbon copies? How would you, differentiate them?
Yeah, very similar. Very similar. Both of these guys are similar in terms of like their minds. They're brilliant minds when it comes to how they view offense. I would say that Andy Reid is probably a little more willing to build plays into the game plan and package. He has a little more volume than Doug will have. Doug does a great job of showing complexity to the opponent, but keeping it very simple for the quarterback. Andy Reid is going to show complexity, and it's still going to be complex for everybody, but they figure out a way to get it done. And so I would say Andy Reid likes to bring more to the game in terms of the big old call sheet. Doug finds a way to kind of keep it simple for the players, but they are creative, they're aggressive, they're not afraid to take chances, and they've won a lot of games with their, I would say, cutting style.
We see a lot of that in the red zone, certainly with the Chiefs, Bucky, with intricate, interesting, different play designs, huddle designs, everything that comes with that. He's always looking for an edge.
Yeah, always looking for an edge. They're going to kind of test you defensively to get lined up right, to handle all the motions and shifts and the different alignments of their main players. Andy Reid does a great job of masking his intentions and trying to find opportunities to create favorable matchups for his best players. But make no mistake, for both teams, the straw that stirs the drink is the quarterback. Pat Mahomes has helped Andy Reid's offense in Kansas City go from really good to outstanding, exceptional, extraordinary, whatever adjective you want to use. And then Doug Peterson has found his franchise quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, and you can already see where this offense can go after 1 year. So it's a lot of fun watching these two square off.
Have you ever seen one of those, ring around the huddle things they did the other week? Look at this.
Can't say that I've seen that, and I would think that when we were back in Green Bay with Mike Holmgren, that would not have been approved. But Andy Reid has his own style. He likes keeping it fun. They've used single wing formations. They've used all kinds of funny stuff throughout his tenure there. The one thing that he knows is when you put these kinds of things in, it certainly engages the players. It keeps it light while also allowing them to kind of focus in on the things that they need to do to win a game. So who doesn't like playing in that kind of style of offense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fun to watch.
I'm guessing much like the T formation for the Jags, that's the ring around the huddle is probably a one-off.
That might be. I don't think you'll see that one again. Hey, let's come back. Quarterback matchup and how they match up against the opposing defense. That's all coming up. Your social media questions in just a little bit. Of course, the Jaguars and the Chiefs in the AFC Divisional Playoff game this Saturday at 4:30 at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. This is Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks on the Jaguars Digital Network.
You can step up to luxury now.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields. Whatever you're driving, you can step up to luxury now. Plus, get our Fields amenities, which include complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes.
Make this your year to step up to luxury at Fields Cadillac, Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, Land Rover, Jaguar, and Lexus. When it comes to the ultimate car buying experience, there's only one name that matters: Fields. And Fields matters because you matter. The Fields Auto Group, proud partners of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Thinking about your favorite whiskey or whiskey-based cocktail for this weekend's party or tailgate? Us too. While you're out shopping for supplies, don't forget to pick up a bottle of the 2022 Jaguars whiskey available at most local Jacksonville liquor stores. Not leaving the couch this weekend? No problem. You can also order a bottle online at citrusdistillersonline.com. Every bottle is made locally here in Duval.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Just, our first time being around each other, then just for having the first D coordinator, just the whole thing, we just finally found who we are as a defense as far as rushing the passer. And I believe it's the four-man front. With KC, we got to come alive. Four-man front. We got to come alive because them guys need help in the back end to cover. So we got to rush four. We got to come with some five. We got to come with some three. Just different. We got to throw different things at Patrick Mahomes so we can get turnovers and hit him.
That's Arden Key, Jaguars defensive lineman, and welcome back. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks on a Wednesday ahead of the AFC Divisional Playoff. J.P. Shadrick, Bucky Brooks, John Oehser, and Arden Key a big piece of that front.
Well, he's been huge, and I'm wondering from Bucky, who watches a lot of tape, talks to a lot of people, to me, the Jaguars' pass rush combined with Trevor Lawrence's ability to get hot and have sustained scoring, to score 2 or 3 drives in a row suddenly. When you combine that with the pass rush, I think it's what gives the Jaguars a chance this week. How real is the pressure that they've put on the last 6 weeks? Do you follow me? Sometimes teams get pressure and they can't really rely on it. But it seems to me, Bucky, that in the last 6 weeks or so, when they have needed pass rush in big situations, typically speaking, most plays quarterbacks have not been able to stand calmly against these guys. Are you reading the same thing?
Yeah, no, they've been able to really dial it up. And it's been great to see because early in the year, you wonder how the pass rush was going to fare, particularly with some of the struggles that we had early in the season at corner. But the pass rush and the coverage has been connected. They've done a better job of making the plays, particularly when they needed to make them down the stretch. We've seen Josh Allen heat up. I mean, look, we've seen everybody kind of jump into this Arden Key and others have their turn creating pressure on the passer. And it's going to be critical for them to be able to do it against Kansas City because ideally, what you want to do is you want to sit back in zone. You want to make sure that you play an umbrella coverage to prevent the big plays. You want to force Pat Mahomes to have to really display the discipline and patience to take it down the field without big plays. And then you want to see if you can be really stingy in the red zone. Teams that blitz Pat Mahomes, he continues to make you pay. And so I think you'll see some pressure, but a lot of this will be like Arden Key said, 4-man, 3-man, maybe some occasional 5-man pressure, but it's going to be dependent upon the front line to be able to get it done because that's the only way you want to do it because you don't want to expose your corners in coverage.
Yeah, I keep JP and Bucky trying to figure out ways, like what's the Jaguars' path to victory? Because if both teams play very, very well, the Chiefs probably win because I think they're the better team. Most days these two teams play just because they're more experienced. They've been there. Mm-hmm. But as soon as I say that, I keep going back to that first meeting when Jaguars score 3 out of 7 times past the 50.
Yeah, they left a lot out there.
That's a lot out there to be leaving. And I know the Chiefs are a great offense, and they are. I would compare them to the Colts teams I covered where they're going to be in the top 3 every year. And you feel like they're going to score points, big points more often than not. But I kind of have this idea that if the Jaguars the Jaguars made it easy for them.
Oh, yeah.
In that game.
Yep.
In Kansas City in Week 10. Leaving guys wide open. Because I think at that point, I forget who said it this week, but one of the players or coach, they were still figuring stuff out in the back end, and they had some miscommunications, and they were trying to figure out personnel, etc. I've got to think they're much more buttoned up in the back, and that you don't see the easy stuff. I think just in those two phases, I think they'll score more when they get their opportunities, and I think they'll make things tougher on Kansas City. You won't see. I don't think you'll see Tony walking into the end zone uncovered.
Yeah, on one leg, right.
Or Kelsey a couple of plays just absolutely left confused. Maybe I'm just overly optimistic, Bucky.
No, I think there's been a concerted effort to make sure that they've eliminated some of the problems in coverage, some of the blown assignments, some of the just egregious errors that led to big plays early in the year. And so they don't run as much stuff, meaning the volume of the playbook and the play sheet is pretty small. But they've been very, very effective because they master it. And the players have talked about simplicity is giving them an opportunity to really dig deep into what the opponent is doing, which has allowed them to play faster. And the thing that you want from any team, offense and defense, you want to play fast, you want to be fearless, and you want to play at a very, very physical, with a very physical level. So we'll see if the Jaguars defense can get it done because they had an opportunity in that game, not only defensively, but offensively, to take the game. The game was right there for the Jaguars to take it. And I think the sense coming out of that game is, man, they just left so many points on the field. We'll see if they can do a better job this time cashing in.
Let's huddle up with Bucky Brooks. All right, let's flip it around now. Jaguars offense against the Chiefs defense. And let's rewind, though, first to last week, Bucky. And why was it so drastic of a change from the first half to the second half for Trevor and the offense? What was there? One thing? Was there what happened?
A couple things. The Chargers did a great job of changing the picture pre-snap, post-snap. They would show one thing before the snap. After snap, they would move to something else, meaning they would show man-to-man, press man. The Jags with motion, they would drop into a zone, and it confused Trevor. He got fooled a couple times. The second thing that they did in the back end is they were squatting on all of the Jaguars' routes. If you go back and look at the offense throughout the course of the season, this has not been a team that's taken a lot of shots down the field. They manufactured deep balls, but they're not a team that just throws go ball after go ball after go ball to back defenders up. So what you had a bunch of DBs that were sitting at 8 to 12 yards waiting for the Jaguars to get to their break point. And so the coverage was real tight and sticky. And then the final thing in the back end, they did a good job of jamming the middle of the field, dropping a lurker right over the ball, maybe at 8 to 10 yards. So all the crossing routes, all the in-breaking routes, they've really been a big part of the Jaguars offense. They negated that. They took that stuff away, and they forced Trevor to throw the ball outside the numbers where they were able to really kind of stymie the receivers. And so it took a while for the Jaguars to catch up to it. And then, to be honest, the Chargers changed what they were doing in the second half. Played more soft zones, allowed Trevor to get into his rhythm. And we've seen it. Once number 16 gets into his rhythm, he's as good as any quarterback in the National Football League.
Yeah, and the point you made at the very end is what I'm sort of locked in on this week a little bit. When he's hot, he's as good as there is. It's sort of obvious when you play that way, but when you start talking about quarterback advantages in this game, yes, for the most part, Mahomes is an advantage. But when Trevor's playing like he is in the second half, nobody has an advantage over this team. And I think that's where that 8.5 spread, if the Jaguars can figure out a way to get them going early, then I think this is an even matchup. And I'm curious about this, Bucky. When I see stats like wide receiver, tight end catching touchdown passes, it's been going on all year. How difficult is this team to defend when you really don't have a go-to guy, but you've got 4 receivers that he really relies on? To me, as a second-year quarterback, to be as comfortable with every receiver and with Etienne, it's rare. He doesn't need a go-to guy right now.
No, he doesn't need it. And so I referenced the conversation that I had with Doug Peterson in the offseason where he said, I don't need a bunch of A's. I can get this done with some B's and B pluses on the perimeter. And when you look at the team, we have very good receivers. I don't know if there's an all-pro receiver on the perimeter, but there are guys that are very interchangeable and complementary when they're playing together. And so because they're able to kind of bounce around and play different spots, and you can do musical chairs like Doug has talked about in the offseason, makes the team very, very difficult to defend because you don't know where the ball is going. Doug can change who the primary receiver is. And when you have that, man, it just keeps the defensive coordinator guessing, and sometimes that plays in the Jaguars' favor.
You have to have some smart players to go execute that too, Bucky. I mean, if all of a sudden they're lined up and they've got to make a change to the line, they can't just run guys all over the field to change in this. So, hey, you got to learn all these routes if you're a wide receiver.
Yeah, and they talked about that in the offseason. So what he did, one of the advantages of going to get a veteran group is that you can do those things. You can put more information on their plate. Yeah. Zay Jones, Marvin Jones, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram. They played a ton of games in this league. And so because they played so much, they're able to handle the volume that Doug Peterson puts on them. They also are able to handle the constant shifting and changing that he's also been able to do.
Bucky Brooks is at it today. I love it. She's fired up for the playoffs.
Man, it happens every time. The gardener shows up out here is 125. The gardener shows up every time I'm trying to do the podcast, and Luna is going absolutely crazy.
I don't have a gardener, JP.
I think we've gone through this before. Yeah. Bucky is the only one on this show that has a gardener.
I like how he continues to just sort of twist that with it. So.
It happens. There's no better time to become a Daily's Place Blue member than right now. Enjoy the best live music around with access to the best seats and amenities, premium parking, and more. Reserve your spot for the 2023 Daily's Place season right now. Email ticketing at boldevents.com or call 904-633-2000. Concert season is coming soon. We're back with social media questions. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks on the Jaguars Digital Network.
You can step up to luxury now.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields. Whatever you're driving, you can step up to luxury now. Plus, get our Fields amenities, which include complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes.
Make this your year to step up to luxury at Fields Cadillac, Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, Land Rover, Jaguar, and Lexus. When it comes to the ultimate car buying experience, there's only one name that matters: Fields. And Fields matters because you matter. The Fields Auto Group, proud partners of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Your hometown gate now has more ways to save. Introducing My Gate Rewards, a new loyalty program with member-exclusive savings and fuel discounts. Earn points on in-store purchases, take advantage of special offers, and save on products you love. Score free coffee, fountain drinks, pizza, and soft serve with Gates frequent shopper clubs. Then use your points on savings at the pump. Download the My Gate Rewards app in the App Store today or ask a store associate for more information. Go from good to Gate.
At Five Star Credit Union, you inspire them to go the extra mile to meet your financial needs. That's why they offer Jaguars fans more banking options like better rates and no hidden fees. Their team is also dedicated to making the communities they serve stronger, volunteering their time and talents while donating millions to local nonprofits. Five Star Credit Union, ViStarCU.org. Go Jags!
The difference is, you win and you keep going, you lose and you're done. So there's that sense of urgency of just, I don't want to say it this way, but just the desperation of doing everything you can to win the game, and you feel that on both sides of the ball. And it's that way in the regular season too, but it's just another level just because everybody knows, this is, especially now we're in the divisional round, we're getting deeper and deeper in this thing. People know what's on the line, and guys just willing to do whatever it takes to win. And so there's that level of intensity, and you're going to get everybody's best shot. So you got to be prepared. And at the end of the day, it's the same game. You play it the same way. Just because it's the playoffs, you don't change what you do. But at the same time, we all know how big of a game it is for us and for Kansas City and everybody.
That's the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, and it's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks, JP Shadrick, John Oehser, along the Jaguars and the Chiefs coming up.
Think about this, Jake, and this isn't news. This isn't news breaking.
All right.
This time last year, think about what that kid was talking about.
Unreal, right?
And what he was going through. And sorry, I banged the table, but bam. It's truly unbelievable to think where he and this franchise have come from. 3-14, 1-15. 1-15 wasn't his, and now they are talking about being one of the last 8 teams playing. And you've had the home games at this place the last 5. It's I'm constantly comparing it to a 96 because you can't have lived through 96 and not feel the comparison. But that 96 team was an expansion team with no scars.
Yeah, yep.
To go from what this was to what it is this fast and to be giving those moments out there, I'm a jaded old sports writer, but it's special. It's something I didn't expect it, couldn't have predicted it, and I would just have fans, again, remember, savor it, because no matter how good it is in the future, it'll never be this kind of magic.
It's a good point.
No, it's special. It's special for this team to have come as far as they've come. And I think we can go back and look, man, it could have been so much better, even when you think about the games that we kind of dropped early in the year. But without those losses, those lessons wouldn't have made the team as resilient and as tough as it is right now. And to see the young quarterback grow and develop and do the things that he's been able to do, to see him not only gain the confidence of his teammates, but to kind of become the franchise quarterback that every franchise wants. Like, to see him bounce back from the 4 interception game, I think that is the thing that will take it over the top, because now you've had an opportunity to see your quarterback at his lowest and he didn't fall apart. When you think about how many other quarterbacks would have absolutely fallen apart after throwing 4 interceptions in a quarter and some change, look, not many guys are built like that. And so what you hope is that Trevor Lawrence not only uses this season as a springboard, but they're able to kind of take this, bottle it, and it becomes kind of a part of the yearly thing that we begin to expect. A team that's always in the postseason, a team that always has an opportunity to be one of the last ones standing. When you think about Doug Peterson's mentor, Andy Reid, that's what the Chiefs have. No matter what happens, no matter who comes and goes, because you got the quarterback right and you're able to put the right pieces around him, you always have an opportunity to be the last team standing at the end of the year. That's what Jaguars fans can hope for. That's what the organization certainly wants.
Yeah, it hit me walking out of that game. I think we learned more and have more trust of what he is about Trevor Lawrence in that game than if he'd had a 158.3 rating. You know, if he'd completed every pass and they win from the start, it's great. Everybody's happy. But I absolutely agree with Buck and JP. We've talked about it a little bit this week. Every quarterback is going to have adversity no matter how great they are. I covered Peyton Manning for 10 years, saw him win 4 MVPs. I also, within that time, saw him lose playoff games, win playoff games. I saw him throw 6 picks against the Chargers one night. Saw him make a lot of mistakes. But you never doubted after a while. It got to the point where he would make a few mistakes, and there were never any questions after the game because you knew he was Peyton Manning. And you knew that he would respond and come back and play well. And so that, Trevor showing that within that game, that's a 23-year-old doing that.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not a 28-year-old who has had a body of work to convince himself that it's going to be okay. It's a 23-year-old that's never been through that. And think about this, JP. It was on national TV.
Yeah.
It was with every eye watching him. No other game that night. Somewhere in the back of your mind, you've got to be sitting there thinking, well, the entire league's going to think I stink now. Well, if that's a 1 o'clock game, maybe it's a little different. That's prime time, season on the line, got to go get it. It's remarkable. I've never seen it before. I'm not sure very many people have. And I think it speaks exactly what Bucky said. This kid now, I don't, if there's any doubt before, it's gone.
Yeah, he may not have many more adverse situations than he had in the first half of that game.
There's not that many quarterbacks who have.
The rest of his career, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was record-setting stuff that he was doing in the first quarter, right, with 3 interceptions. And for him to come back from that, which is an all-time performance on the wrong end, to an all-time performance on the good side of things in one 60-minute period is just incredible.
It is incredible. One of the things about a franchise quarterback, they give you hope. They give everybody in the stadium hope that if the ball is in their hands the last minute, they're going to find a way to get it done. And so I'm going to try and keep
Gives Luna hope.
Hey, Luna, I'm trying to keep Luna under control because she was letting us know that, hey, she's also very optimistic that if Trevor Lawrence has the ball at the end of the game, he's going to find a way to get it done. So I think that's the thing that you have, and that's what you've always wanted. And so it's great by the Jaguars that the former number 1 overall pick can play at that level. But now what you want to see him do is you want to see him go toe-to-toe with Pat Mahomes, who is look, he's the consensus number 1 quarterback in the league. If Trevor Lawrence can go toe-to-toe with him, man, you feel great about what you have in the future in Jacksonville.
All right, guys, let's come back in a moment. We'll get to social media questions and wrap it up on this Wednesday. If you're ready to join the Jaguars, well, 2023 season ticket deposits are now open. Secure your place in line to select the best seats at the best prices. And they have flexible payment options, of course, and pricing for every budget, so you don't have to miss out next season. And what a schedule it is, by the way. Visit Jaguars.com/tickets and place your deposit and be at the bank for every big play in 2023. Well, the schedule isn't out. The opponents are. And the opponents coming to the bank next year are spectacular. A first-place schedule for the first-place Jaguars. And this is Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks on the Jaguars Digital Network.
You can step up to luxury now.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields. Whatever you're driving, you can step up to luxury now. Plus, get our Fields amenities, which include complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes.
Make this your year to step up to luxury at Fields Cadillac, Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, Land Rover, Jaguar, and Lexus. When it comes to the ultimate car buying experience, there's only one name that matters: Fields. And Fields matters because you matter. The Fields Auto Group, proud partners of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Thinking about your favorite whiskey or whiskey-based cocktail for this weekend's party or tailgate? Us too. While you're out shopping for supplies, don't forget to pick up a bottle of the 2022 Jaguars whiskey available at most local Jacksonville liquor stores. Not leaving the couch this weekend? No problem. You can also order a bottle online at citrusdistillersonline.com. Every bottle is made locally here in Duval.
Basketball is in full swing at the University of North Florida. Watch the Ospreys take on ASUN Conference opponents like Liberty, crosstown rival JU, Florida Gulf Coast, and more in the newly upgraded UNF Arena. Visit UNFOspreys.com for tickets and details. Exclusive experiences are available for groups of 10 or more. Go Ospreys and swoop!
We're fortunate. We're very fortunate. We're very fortunate the other night. That doesn't happen, for five takeaways or 5 giveaways and come back and win a football game. It just does not happen. And that's something that we address our team a lot about. And, I don't want to overemphasize it, but at the same time, they have to understand that the seriousness of keeping the football and the seriousness of creating takeaways. And, our defense has also been getting the ball a little bit here too, so that's been a bonus for us. But offensively, we just can't give it away like we've been doing in order to win these games, especially now where we're at.
Doug Peterson, of course, earlier this week on turnovers, and the Jaguars had 5 of those on Saturday, 4 on offense. And welcome back. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks. Let's take a look outside at the Miller Electric Center. Under construction outside TIAA Bank Field. Nice day out. Nice day. 72 degrees today at practice inside the bank today. Bright sunshine. The Miller Electric Center is scheduled to be open this summer and ready for training camp in late July.
It's coming along.
Coming quick. It's going to be great. The team will move in there very, very soon. Speaking of weather, it's supposed to be cold, like mid-30s, maybe a chance of snow on Saturday.
Light dusting?
Yeah, why not?
Like an old Indiana weather day is coming back. Yeah, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be prohibitive, game-changing weather, game affecting a little bit, but I don't think it doesn't seem like it's going to dictate overhauling game plans.
Well, Bucky's Southern California ears just perked up when we said the 4-letter word that starts with S, snow. Let's take a look now at some social media questions. Yes, we put out the cat signal. Here's the best we came up with today at Base Scout XI. I guess that's 11. For the past 3 weeks, we've seen the Jaguars defense struggle against routes in the flat, or more specifically, tight ends breaking out on 3rd and short. How do the Jags overcome this habit against Travis Kelce and KC?
I think it depends on what you're trying to stop. I think some of those things, the Jaguars are willing to concede some of those balls or those throws to the flat because you're trying to take away deeper throws. One of the things when you're the Jaguars, you're trying to play a little more bend but don't break in the back end. You have to be willing to give up the checkdowns. Unless it's to a person that you really fear is dangerous. Like last week, they made sure that Austin Eckler didn't leak out. Wasn't a big factor in the passing game. I think of all things, Jedrick McKinnon being a factor, you will see the Jaguars maybe clamp down a little more on some of the underneath throws to the backs, maybe hug up the guys a little tighter on some of those crossing routes, and maybe you take your chances with the Juju Smith-Schuster and some of those other guys getting loose. Remember the first time Kadarius Toney had a big game. He had just shown up. You didn't know what he was getting, and he came in immediately and kind of filled the role of Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman as their designated speed and big play weapon. And so now that he's gotten your attention, do you take that away and maybe force them to go somewhere else? As part of the chess match that you'll see between Mike Caldwell and Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, when you're playing great offenses and great quarterbacks, which I would say Herbert, Mahomes certainly fit into that category, you can't take everything away. Yeah, and as Bucky said, this team has been trying to concede a little bit, not give up the big plays, and then counter that with believing that over the course of the game, you're going to get the other team in enough 3rd and longs to have the pass rush be effective, get off the field, break serve, as I like to say. So I'm with Bucky. I think some of those 3rd and 4, some of those 3rd and short to tight ends, you've got to pick your poison a little bit. And it's not a defense or a league right now where you're going to shut everybody out. There has to be some concession.
One more social media question today off Twitter. A busy place this week. Of course, after the win at Nick Popejoy, will this be the most difficult game in Jags playoff history, or does the 96 Broncos game still take the cake?
Well, I'll jump in here, Buck. I mean, I don't think the 96 game was the most difficult because they won it. And they've lost some playoff games. So, I mean, I'm being a little facetious there, but, I think you won't know that until you win. Now, the toughest pre-task, I think this is up there with the Broncos. I think it's my opinion and probably just a way of looking at it. I think this is a tougher task than the 96 Broncos in this sense. The 96 Broncos were a great team that had not been that number 1 seed at home in a while. That was that team's first experience as the number 1 seed, as protecting it all, playing at home with that sort of pressure. The Chiefs have done this a lot in the last 3 or 4 years. This is what they do. They win divisional playoffs as the top seed and get themselves to championship games. It doesn't make them unbeatable. They are not an unbeatable team at home, even with home field advantage. They've lost 4 or 5 games in this regime like that. But if you're asking what's more difficult, this Chiefs team believes in itself and knows how to win this round game, Bucky.
Yeah, the Chiefs know how to do it. And when you're a team that's won, 7 straight division titles, you've been to, 4 consecutive AFC championship games, you won a ton of games under Andy Reid. He has all of that experience. Well, that experience allows you to develop an expertise in how to play these games. And they've won games in a bunch of different ways. And the young quarterback, which is crazy that Pat Mahomes is only 27 years old, but he is seemingly played in a bunch of these huge games. And so he has a way of being able to bring the team back to kind of be the stabilizing force when things go awry, because he can bring them back. And he has played at an MVP level, not only during the regular season, but in Super Bowls. And so it's a tough task for the Jaguars because of all of those things, but it's not insurmountable because the talent is different on the perimeter than it used to be. Tyreek Hill was a major factor in those previous postseasons because you always had to account for where he is. Now, if you're looking at this game, the guys that you have to stop, it starts with dealing with Travis Kelce. And then it's, okay, do we want to take away the running back or do we want these other guys? I think it's an easier offense to defend now because you don't have the explosive weapons that you had when Tyreek Hill was also on the perimeter with Travis Kelce.
Well, help me out as we close, Bucky, and I look forward to seeing you in Kansas City. As we close, I've been wrestling all week with what's the formula? How does this game have to look for the Jaguars to win it? And I believe what I said earlier. I think maybe you're down 3 at halftime, and then this offense does what it does. It gets hot, gets a lead, shocks them a little bit, and then gets to Mahomes with a pass rush, forces a mistake, and then all of a sudden the game's sort of over before they have a chance to come back. What's your path? How do you see this game going if the Jaguars are going to go win it?
I think for the Jaguars to win it, they need to be within striking distance at halftime. I think you have to play this one where obviously a 27-0 deficit is not going to be in the cards. I think it has to be one where the offense really is going to have to click. When you look at the way the Bengals beat them last year, offensively, they kind of went up and down the field. And then the Kansas City Chiefs helped them by making some bonehead errors a season ago. You need the quarterback to kind of bail you out with some turnovers, meaning Patrick Mahomes has to turn it over a couple of times because you're going to need those extra possessions to kind of stretch out the lead. But this is a winnable game, and I think people have to understand that, look, the Kansas City Chiefs played a tight game against the Houston Texans. And so I would look heavily into that film and try and figure out what did the Texans do to keep the ball in front, to allow them to stay in this. The Jaguars certainly have more firepower, but I think there's certainly a blueprint for them to do it. I think it's bend but don't break into 20s and win the red zone efficiency battle, meaning give up field goals, not touchdowns, and score touchdowns, not settle for field goals. They do that. I think the Jaguars can go on the road and win a game that not many people are going to say that they have a chance to win.
There you have it. There's the path to victory for John and Bucky. That'll do it for this week. Bucky, safe travels. We'll talk to you.
That's right. We're going to the championship game, JP. We're going to the championship game.
Is it a lock?
Oh, we're going. We're going to Cincinnati or Buffalo, wherever it is. That's where we're going next week.
Wow.
Okay. He's locked it. It's in. The lock is in for Bucky Brooks. That's John Oehser. I'm JP Shadrick. Thanks to our entire crew, of course, Brent Reber, David Cho, Joe Fortunato. The Duval Divisional Watch Party announced it's Saturday at Daly's Place. Lots open at 3. Gate 1 opens at 3:30. The game kickoff 4:30. Reserve your free seats at Jaguars.com. This is Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks on the Jaguars Digital Network.